Hey, Mindset fam. Welcome back to another
Welcome back.
episode.
Yes. We are here ready to help you get your money up with us because we talking about the financials in today's episode.
Look at you just going in there and going for it.
Yes, girl. No, it's all about the money. Like everything today is so expensive. It's
Girl.
ridiculous. I literally was just talking with my man today about like, yeah, we need to, well, I guess he was really talking more to me about it rather than me talking to him, but he was just
Uh-oh.
like, yeah, we really need to like cut down on our budget and, not trying to be a slave at 60 type of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like financials is something that we speak about on a weekly basis. It's not anything unfamiliar in our household.
Yeah.
So, I thought about it and I'm like, I really haven't bought like anything that's not a necessity lately,
Hmm. That's
because
good.
it's like, it's easy to go a little crazy on Amazon, but I feel like right now Amazon's kind of tripping because like their whole little Prime 2-day shipping thing isn't really a thing right now. So, and I'm sure it's just because of the area I'm in and it's not as, big city like, but they're a little like, ugh. So I've been cutting back on my spending, but it's just really buying
That's the reason
food.
why.
Not the reason, but it helps. It makes it easier to not spend it,
Damn Amazon, I'm
But
not getting my shit in 2 days, so F you
right.
and no more orders. Like,
But why am I paying for Prime if I'm not getting Prime type of loving, So I'm
I
just saying.
guess. Yeah, I don't know the difference.
But listen, it's just really food is the bulk of my bank
Girl, you ain't lie.
and I'm not even talking about like takeout. Like we had a period of time where
No
we were just
grocery
going
shopping.
crazy. Right. Right. The groceries are maddening and you and I just talked about the other day, my diet. So we know I don't eat a lot of things that, you know,
Yeah.
are not produce essentially. So produce itself is just breaking my bank. I can easily spend a buck 50. Just
Mm-hmm.
ugh,
It's a lot.
why?
Yeah. No,
Why?
girl, I don't know. And you know what? I actually just recently saw a news what do you want to call it?
Article?
I mean, but it wasn't in the paper. It's on YouTube. I just saw something in the news. I'll say it that way because I don't know what I'm trying to get at here. I just saw something and it was actually Connecticut based. Of the news was doing like uh one of their like not undercover, but like one of their like stories on like grocery stores in Connecticut and
Mhm.
how they're just kind of like surging prices for their own personal gain. Like it has nothing to do with like inflation. I forget what specifically they were talking about. I don't remember if it was like a
Stop.
certain like product, like I want to say it was like milk or something like that. And they
Mhm.
were pretty much just saying that like they're raising their costs. They learned, and I forget how this came about. But it's not about the inflation. Like they're not, overpricing. Let's
Mhm.
just use milk as an example.
Right.
I drink almond milk, so
Mhm.
you can't get like a carton of almond milk for anything less than like $5, $6.
Essentially, unless it's on sale and you're lucky if you catch that.
Exactly. And that has gone up over the years and whatever. And they're saying that they're not upping the prices because of inflation, like how, it takes
Mhm.
more to produce almond milk or whatever, as an example.
Right.
They're just doing it to put money in their own pockets. And so now they're doing like this whole like investigation into like grocery stores and looking at potentially, because I don't know if there's any kind of like regulations as far as like increasing
Pricing.
costs and stuff like that when it comes to all
Mm.
these places. So that's why like you can go to one store and something will be this amount, and then you go to another store and it'll be something
It's
like
totally
completely
different
different. And it's like,
for the same item.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I've
So
noticed that, especially like it's so funny you say that because the one thing that popped in my mind when you said that were raspberries. Raspberries, like because our household we killed them, and it's like easily like a carton of them would be like, and by a carton I mean like a 12-ounce size.
mhm.
It's like almost $10.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's like for
insane.
some damn raspberries.
Yeah, and that a little trick of the trade for my fellow New Yorkers. That's why I am glad that I'm in New York every day, because I will always get my fruit on the street corner instead of
Mm-hmm.
going
Less
into a grocery store.
expensive.
Because I'm telling you, I can get like 2 or 3 little cartons of raspberries for like $5 instead
I
of
believe it.
spending $5 for one of them. So
I believe it. Yeah, it sounds like the street corners have like Aldi pricing, because Aldi is one grocery store that I can say their produce is typically very fresh and
mm,
at not as high of a price, say like Stop and Shop or Funky Ass Big Y. I like Big Y, but I just call them Funky Ass Big Y because they're so high priced. It's just ridiculous.
it's funny you actually mentioned Aldi, because I went in there like once with my mom like years ago, but there
Hmm.
is actually one by me, and I've been considering going to it just because of all these like costs and everything. So
You should.
you think it's like worth it?
You should.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
definitely should. Yeah. No, I think it's worth it. I like to get my produce from there. I feel like it's easy to shop. So,
Yeah. But what is their
opposed to
thing
like,
though? They don't have like, isn't there some, they don't have like carts or something, or is it bags? But nowhere has bags anymore. So,
they don't eat. I think they have like bags you can buy, but like people will end up bringing their own bags, or they'll use like cartons in the store. They'll have like their empty boxes and different kinds of cartons in the store that people actually pack their groceries into and bring them to the register and just cash out that way.
okay.
Because when you cash out at Aldi, there the cashier scans all of your items and puts them into a cart. So they don't bag anything for you. They just scan your items and put them back into a cart. So
Hmm.
then you have to pull off to the side after you cash out to bag your own groceries.
Interesting. Okay. Because I know they kind of like did
Hmm.
things differently, but like I didn't remember like
Yeah.
what it was.
And their cashiers sit down, they don't stand up,
Oh, I was gonna
which
say,
is
you say that like
different.
you. Okay.
It's different. Most cashiers have to stand up.
Mm.
But yeah, so pretty much what we're trying to get at here with our long grocery list, right, is that we as the people in this expensive ass world, I
Mm.
don't know about other countries, but I'm just gonna say the world right
Yeah,
now, we need to find a way to bring more money back into our pockets.
we do.
We have many different avenues we can go about it, and one of the avenues I wanted to jump on, which is something I'm actually personally going through. So I thought it was
Okay.
kind of convenient to talk about. Which actually all of it that we're going to talk about, I'm going through, and I know you were saying you're going through some of the same of, whatever.
Hmm.
So one thing I wanted to touch on was about getting a raise at your job.
Mm.
So this is something a lot of us, for those of us who are working for someone else and have to ask for a raise, we can relate on this. And I'm in a process, as I've mentioned before, of growing the ladder in my current company.
Hmm.
And I'm, currently waiting to hear back on, if I'm going to be offered a position or not.
Mm.
But the concern is what that compensation is going to look like.
Right.
And my man and I were talking again, financials, and how, he's saying, if you don't get a raise of a certain amount, then it's not worth it. And I'm like, well, I'm sure they'll offer me something, but it's not going to be close to that. And he's just like, ask for it. I've never thought to ask, like, negotiate my
Yeah.
pay. That's never, honestly, has never been a thing for me. I've just been conditioned, I guess, in my life to
Mhm.
be, grateful for a job and then be told this is what you're getting paid and be like, wow, thanks. And if you don't like it, you just work harder and go somewhere else, or you work for another position within the same company.
Right. It's actually really, really funny that you say that, because that was honestly me a couple of years ago. Like
Mm.
I had that same thought process, and I'm not any better about it now by any means. But I had a similar conversation with my boyfriend a couple of years ago, and he was just kind of like, you don't know unless you ask. He's like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, they're going to say no and like whatever. And so I
Right.
actually finally had the balls to, say something, and I
The
actually did get it.
cojones.
So it
Look at
was just
that.
kind of like, I needed that. I don't know. I feel like just like men and women just have like such a different like perspective on things. And it's
Hmm.
very interesting because he would always be like, well, how do you think that like I got to where I am today? Like I didn't just sit around and like wait for it to like come to me or whatever. He's like, I
Mm-hmm.
asked for it. And I
Mm,
was like, well, I feel like that's not something that, at least to my knowledge, like women, I guess specifically, aren't necessarily taught to like ask for that kind of stuff or like have that kind of like
mm-hmm.
um I don't know if like aggressive is the right word, but just kind of
Mm-hmm.
have that like go-getter type of like
Yeah,
attitude,
I
I
feel
guess.
like it's not as common, but I definitely can think of a few women that I'm like, yeah, she like that. She'll ask for that and she'll like make her point. But I feel like I agree with you that a majority are not going to be like, I
Yeah,
deserve this and I demand this, or I deserve this, so let's negotiate this.
right. And it's kind of funny though, because when you think about it, you're just kind of like, well, why not? Because like it really doesn't hurt to ask. Like as long as you're not asking for something like, $30,000 like
Wild.
more or whatever, like
Right.
it really just it doesn't hurt because the worst that they can truly do is say no. And I can't imagine someone in management getting like put off by you asking the question as long as it is
Right.
reasonable.
Right, because it's not coming from their pocket personally. And depending on your company, if your company is well off, why wouldn't you be in the position to ask for something like that?
Right.
Like given you're an employee of a good status and you contribute to the company's growth, hello, like an opportune time to ask for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I literally was like, oh,
Like,
I
what do
didn't
you mean
even
ask?
right. And he's like, well,
What
like
is that?
he's like, if you're given an offer, like negotiate what you feel like you deserve. And I'm like, negotiate, like, oh my gosh, what are these
Yeah.
words? I'm like, we're talking about my job, right? And it
Right.
was just, it was so mind boggling to me because it was just like, God damn, this man is making a point.
I know, like,
And not
doesn't make sense.
right, like, and not that he doesn't make points, but it was just like I've never viewed this type of situation from that perspective. Like you said,
Right.
these men, like, they're really giving us some good insight. So I'm gonna give them their kudos on this because it was like, damn, like y'all really just out here like, no, I deserve this, so I'm gonna ask for it. And it's really that simple for everything in our lives in general. It's not only just towards asking your boss for a raise,
Right.
but it's like anything just falls within that category. Just go for it. And if you don't get it, then you don't get it. And you try harder next time, champ, or it's not meant to be.
Right. Like, because I can't imagine, especially if you already work somewhere, like maybe before you work there, that might be a different story. But like if you already
Right,
work
right.
somewhere, I can't imagine they would fire you or something just for you asking.
Yeah. Yeah, asking for more money. So that's been my struggle lately of just, kind of like how much more
Right.
do I ask for? And I say it's a struggle partially also because I'm already over the pay range of the position that I'm
Hmm.
inquiring for.
Yeah. So that makes it
So
tough.
I'm like excited because I have a new skill set to use of negotiating. And I'm like, well, goddamn, now I have like a little like sprinkle on top to make it even harder
Mhm.
because it's not a typical negotiation. I'm already over. So it's
Right.
like, I'm already about to break their bank if they pick me, but like how much more can I break their bank? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just something I just had to bring to the light because I'm like, damn, am I the only person out here that is like not negotiating with their employer?
I
Because
don't think so.
and like yeah, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for a second, but I've received numerous awards and things like that at my job, like for
Hmm.
my current position. And it was like, damn, so all this time I should have just been like, so I just got another award. You think you can
Right. That means I'm worthy of an extra
right.
$10,000. Thank you.
Right. So I don't know. So y'all gonna have to help me on this one when it comes to like what's this caliber you start at with negotiations and where's the max I should probably stop at? Like because
Yeah.
I also don't want to ruin it for myself and be like, well, they didn't want to negotiate this price, so F them, I'm not taking the role.
Right.
I don't want to
I'm
take it
sure
too far.
there's yeah, I'm sure there's like stats or whatever on like an appropriate, like
Hmm.
a percentage or whatever to ask for. Like I would probably think like nothing more definitely nothing more than like 10%, I would think.
Really, I've seen
Maybe
it.
like somewhere from like 3 to 10. I don't know.
I've seen it range. So I've seen because I did a little bit of research. I've seen
Good.
online that 3 to 5% is the average that employers give their employees for raises.
Mm.
And that's like without asking. So I also seen that it is acceptable to ask for a range of 10 to 20%,
Oh,
depending on also depending on like your tenure in the role, comparing it to other positions in the same industry, things like
right.
that.
That's true. Yeah.
There's people, I'm trying to tell you, when you are looking to negotiate, do a little bit of research also, like come
Yeah.
with
You
your
have to know your
facts.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to come ready and really be able to prove a point. But I did see 10 to 20% is an okay
Hmm.
range to also work with. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because I honestly did the calculations on a 3% raise on what I'm making, and I'm like, there's no way in hell
Yeah.
that I would be okay with that. That would be negotiated instantly.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
yes,
Well,
yes.
we wish you luck on your
Whew,
negotiating
thank
journey.
you.
You
Yee.
know, definitely not an easy thing to do, but it's worth it. And, you'll kind of like gain those, skill sets as you kind of like always
Yeah.
have it in the back of your mind to ask for. So,
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And now you guys all have this skill set that we're sharing with you. You got to put that into action. But listen, only if it's really worth it. Don't be over here like, well, Mindset Talks told me to, and your employer's like, bitch, you crazy. What you asking for? You barely come to work. That wasn't us.
right,
That wasn't
right,
us.
right, right. You got to make sure that you guys are not delusional and that you're
No
in good
Delulus
standings
over
with the
here.
company. And, truly, well, a lot of people are going to think they're worth it and might not.
Right.
Not that
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
worth it, but that you might not have
You may not have earned it just
the
yet.
exactly.
It may not be your time for that increase. But and then I also wanted to update you on something
So,
because I totally forgot. I never really followed through. So episodes and episodes and episodes ago, we talked about the high yield accounts.
yes.
You brought that to our attention and, was spitting some facts to us and,
Hmm.
helping us as the people become informed because I was learning a wee bit about it, but I wasn't too familiar.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to say I do have my high yield account.
Okay, kudos to you. I see you. All right.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So your girl is saving her money. Okay. So for
good.
those of you who do not have a high yield account, literally just get it started. Look, like, just again, research anything you do nowadays. You just got to do your research. Look at who's going to give you the most interest back on your money and
Hmm.
be able to really just bulk up off of that. But something you should always start sooner than later is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, you definitely should because let me tell you, I have probably like in the next like month or so, I've been doing
Hmm.
it now for at least a year. And when I tell you the return on my money has like substantially increased since I
I
took it
believe it.
out of my other not high yield savings
Right.
account. Like
Non-money
when I
making
tell
account.
you I have okay, so just to kind of like put it into like a little more of like a perspective, like I've had my money in one account for, X amount of years at this point, right?
Hmm.
And let's just say like ballpark, right? Like I probably got like $10
Ooh,
for
child.
like all those years that I've
ten
had
dollars for more than 10 years.
this amount of money in this account.
Right.
Whereas putting it into this high yield savings account, which is at least, I want to say it's a little more than 4%
Hmm.
interest rate on the money that you have in that account. I have
Hmm.
already made in just 1 year's time, at least like, I'm going to say like $400 compared
Crazy.
to the $10 that I was making on the same amount of money in this
Way less
other
time.
yeah. So, if you guys are sleeping on these high yield savings account, like, you
Wake
really
up.
need to get on it because there's no risk involved in any of this, like, your money is just sitting in your savings account, and you should be making
And it's
money on that
growing.
money,
Hmm.
and you should be making the max amount of money that you can, so, you should definitely
Huge facts.
look into it because even if the rates, like, decrease or whatever, it's you're just not going to make as much as you would have if they were higher, but you're not
Exactly.
losing any money that you have in there,
At all.
that you've like put in there. So
Yeah, you're either just making much more money or you're making more money. But if you have your money in an account where it's not making anything, move it.
yeah,
Move it because you're literally losing it.
you really are. So I'm glad to hear that you decided to switch over
Yes, girl.
because, yeah. And,
It was
the
yeah.
one that I do use now for people that are probably wondering is American Express,
Hmm.
their savings accounts. So that is one of them. I don't know if you have the same, if you want to share or whatever, but
Oh yeah, no, I
I'm
have Discover.
Discover. Okay, cool.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, there's plenty of other options out there depending on where you want your money to lie, but you should definitely look into it and see what their interest rates are. And then kind
Hmm.
of like go off of that. And you don't even have to put
Right.
all your money in there at once because I didn't. I started off with like a small amount. And then once
Same.
I, saw it and tested it out and like see how it worked, then I started adding more money into it and being like, okay, like
Hmm.
this is,
Like, oh, I like this.
yeah, exactly. So,
You said I had what?
don't do it all at once if you're skeptical or scared or whatever, but you should
Right.
definitely look into it because that's free money right there.
Right. But also don't start too low either because then
Well, yeah, it won't make
it's not gonna
anything.
set a really like I don't know, like standard's not the word, but it's just like it's not gonna give the best impression if you like put like $10. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
personally feel like if you can put a couple $100 in there at least to at least be able to see how that change goes,
Hmm.
that's not a terrible thing, if you have it or if you're okay with doing that, then you can at least see how that interest works and be able to catch a
Exactly.
grip.
Yeah, no, that's a good
Hmm.
point. And at least to have it be like a tangible like percentage of what you have in your current account, just so you can say
Yes.
like, I've had $100 in this account for 2 years and I've made 2 cents, and now put, $50 or whatever in this new account and be like, okay,
Hmm.
in 3 months I've already made like $1, like just so you
Right.
kind of see what that looks
Exactly.
like.
I know, 'cause that was like the most painful thing. It's like, oh, look at my year-to-date dividends, 23 cents. Excuse me?
Yeah.
I gotta move this money out the damn bank
Yes, and it
because
truly is
what?
that low, like, it's not even
No.
an exaggeration, which is the
Right.
wild
Like,
part about it.
like I
Oh,
got
it's so
PTSD from
bad.
that damn statement. Like, you, my money been sitting here for this, and this is what y'all do for me. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
so bad.
So pay attention, y'all. But got to move your money. You have to invest. I know you and I spoke about this just a little bit before starting the episode, but learning about stocks is the next
Mhm.
thing really on our list. And that I this is a slow start for me. I would love for you to share your feedback on where you are with it, but
Mhm.
right now, I do have stock. I have stock from my employer. I have stock from, just like different areas.
Mhm.
And so the stock from my employer was a part of different positions that I've had. So it was something that, is like granted.
Mm.
And I literally just learned about it last month and I've had it for years. And
Oh, alright.
sorry. It's like
Okay.
it because it's one of those things where it's like you're granted this in your role, but there's no education around it.
Oh,
And
that sucks.
this is one of the things where I feel like just even with our school systems, that it needs to be a part of every school system for
Mhm.
children to learn about these things because it shouldn't be on my job to teach me about that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they tell me the process of like you'll be granted this after this amount of time and it's going to go into this account, but that's about it,
Mhm.
so then it's just like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do,
Right, right, right.
if anything, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of sucky, like not having a good understanding of it, especially on something that I've had for years and something that accumulated over years, and to
Mhm.
not really know like anything around it. So, I took the initiative to work with the financial institution and really get an understanding of everything. So now I'm in a better place of
Oh,
understanding
good.
at least that account.
Yeah.
But stocks in general, I'm still learning because there's just so much to it.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And that's why I'm glad that when I started doing it, I started using this app called Robinhood. Um, I think it's a
Yes.
good way to kind of like start understanding and learning and figuring out stocks and like how to buy stock and sell stock and like watch it, grow, and the,
Mhm.
just everything about it. I don't know, because like I've kind of heard different things. Like I don't think it's necessarily the best resource for like huge investments, like,
Mhm.
thousands of dollars, or, whatever. But I don't know any kind of like alternatives, just because
Right.
like apps and stuff are just kind of like the way of the
Way
world
to go.
these
Yeah,
days.
right. This
So like I
it
don't know personally like if there's like other or better ways to kind of like go about it, but if you're
Mhm.
starting to like learn, I think that Robinhood is definitely a great way to get started.
Okay.
And just to kind of like do like a little plug in here, if you guys are interested, just let me know, because I can get you a free stock. So I can share I can share that login. And I'm assuming that you have one too, so Amanda can also share hers as well.
I'm still learning mine. You might have to go through Cassie as much as your girl want another, I want to be able to profit and rise above, but Cassie might be the way to go because I'm still not there.
Gotcha. Um, and I'm not as like into it as I used to be when I first started. Like I used to like
Mhm.
really like look at it every day and like, look at different stocks to buy and things like that. I've kind
Yeah.
of like stepped back from it. But I think that was just because I got tainted when I got excited trying to invest into cryptocurrency.
Hey,
Um,
they are doing crazy.
crazy awful. I
Uh, I don't know where they're at right now.
So I had put in a substantial amount of money back when it was kind of like going up.
Mhm.
And I just missed the curve because it had then soon very much plummeted.
Oh
So
no.
I probably lost 80% of what I put in to there.
Oh
So
no.
it's just been kind of, festering and hanging out for probably a year and a half now, just waiting for it to kind of like
Mm,
come back into fruition.
wow.
I got excited a couple weeks ago because it was on the up and up, but then it since went back down again. So
Oh, maybe that's the time I was thinking of then. The few weeks ago, I was like, oh, it's not doing bad. My
maybe
bad.
because it was starting to go back up, and that like 80% went to like 50%. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to see some of my money come back. And then
Mm,
it just kind of decided to go in the other direction. So, whatever it is, what it is, they're stocks, right? So
right.
it's not an instant like fast way to make money. It's something that you have
No.
to let sit in there, and it can
Mhm.
literally take years before you see anything. And
Yes.
that's to kind of like separate it, because cryptocurrency is more high risk than some of the other stocks out there. Like I have stocks
Mhm.
in like Pfizer and
Yeah.
some of like the other kind of like generic stocks like JetBlue. I have a lot of JetBlue stocks,
Mhm.
which those don't have nearly as much
Risk.
risk or um, volatility or whatever,
Yeah.
um, as the cryptocurrency does. So those I haven't seen, as much of a loss as the crypto. That was just kind of like
Mhm.
let's just kind of like hop on this train and see what happens. And so far
Right.
my train has crashed, but
Ooh,
um,
child.
there's still plenty of time for it to come back up. So
Oh, yeah, they got time to repair it, put it back together, and just kind of write it out and see where it goes.
yeah.
I definitely remember, like, I can distinctly remember when I was working in the first store and crypto was like a new thing the managers were talking
Mm,
about, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh, you should get into it, blah blah blah. Like, and this is of course like back in like 20, like around 2017-ish, maybe,
yeah,
if I have
one of
my
those.
timelines right. Yeah. But it's just funny because it's like I didn't really understand, and I
Mhm.
like had a very small teaching back in high school, like a very like one semester class short teaching
Yeah.
about finances or stock. And I it's just I overall see it as gambling. Like it's just gambling.
Yeah,
You
pretty
just,
much.
like a casino and a slot machine gambling is like instant, whereas this is long-term gambling. Like you said, it's long term. You have to
Yeah.
sit and wait on it. And it's just that's just what it comes down to. And I'm not like highly opposed to it or anything. I mean, I'm obviously not opposed. I have stock. So it's like, but it's just the waiting game. And it's like,
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's tricky because it's like, okay, you might not see like an investment right now, but it's like
mm-hmm,
should I be putting in more money because I'm not seeing that investment? Because who knows, in 10
Right.
years, my $100 can turn into a million. And,
Right.
you just don't see it coming because you have no idea like what's about to come. So
You really
it's
don't.
just like you said, it is that gambling factor. And it's just kind of like,
Mhm.
would you rather have your money sit in just like your standard savings account? I'm not going to say the high yield, but just kind of
Right.
like your standard savings account, or would you rather invest in some stock and, you might lose some of it, but you also might gain a lot of money too. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly. And like one key thing too that I will always remember that I've learned about stock is to buy low and sell high.
yes.
Like definitely pay attention to trends when you're looking at stock. If you're ever like one thing I can say that I've learned when looking at stock and looking at like not necessarily what to buy, but something I may be interested in buying
Hmm.
is to pay attention to the graph and look at it over a period of years, not necessarily like months or just 1 year, but
Yeah.
look at like a 3, 5 year period just to kind of see how it's going,
Hmm.
because that can also give you some key indications as to okay, maybe the price is going to be going back down, so maybe I'll wait a little bit before buying, or this is a good time to buy, like,
Yeah.
or even if you're looking to sell. I don't really know much on selling because it's way too soon in my life to be selling any stock right now. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same operation you're really looking at with that too. But you have to stay current as well with these companies if you're investing in their stock,
Yeah.
because it's a bit silly to get stock and then not know what's going on with those companies that you've invested money into.
Hmm.
Because when shit hits the fan and things may fall apart for that company, you might want to kind of sell your shit and get your money back before it really really like falls apart. So
Yeah. No,
you know
definitely. And just pay attention to the world, right? Like the world is what drives these stocks to go up and down.
yes,
So, like during the
yes.
pandemic, like if you invested in Zoom before you knew the pandemic was coming, I'm sure you probably would have been a millionaire by now because the way
Right.
that Zoom just kind of like
Oh my
skyrocketed.
gosh. And big farm.
Exactly, which is why one of the
Oh.
reasons why I have Pfizer
Mm-hmm.
stock.
I had a feeling.
So you really just need to
I
pay
had a
attention
feeling.
to current events and just kind of like seeing or like speculating where you
Mm-hmm.
think, things might be going. And that's why they also tell you to have like a very diverse portfolio. So don't just
Yes.
invest all of your stock in like, I don't know, food companies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just
Yeah.
dabble around very different genres of stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So you definitely want to have something from big farm. You want to have something from like tech, like
Hmm.
Google. You want to be able to, like you said, touch base. And I know on Robinhood there are, I don't know the best way to word it, but there's like you can buy like a bucket of stocks. I
Hmm.
think that's how my man refers to it as. He's like, yeah, you got to buy a bucket. It has a little bit of everything. And I'm like, where the hell you found a bucket? Like, what? So it's just, I know there are buckets on there where they have like a pre-mixed package of stocks that you can buy,
Hmm.
different percentages of.
Gotcha.
So definitely look at that. But you got me ready to go ahead and learn more about this Robinhood app and dig a little deeper. I need to make it more of a point to touch on, more than just once a week. I need to kind of dabble in that a little more often.
Yeah, I was definitely obsessed with it for a good, couple of months.
I believe it. I believe it. It reminds me of what was it back? I think it was, I don't
Mhm.
know where people were doing it, but people were selling stock. I remember it was like a trend where people were like betting on stuff, or I can't remember what it was, but it was like there were people that were like, there was an app, I don't really know what it was called, but it was like people who were like investing in stock, but it wasn't necessarily like the standard way. It seemed like a like quick, easy way to make money. And
Hmm.
people were like betting on if stock would drop or if stock would be lower or higher before at the end of the day versus its starting cost. And it's like if people like guessed correctly, then they were able to make money off of it. It was like some weird, interesting thing. I never got into it, but just learn about stock the regular way, y'all, and start from there. I think that's probably the best bet. And don't forget about your high yield savings. So
Yeah.
if you're not going to invest it into some stock, go ahead and put it into a high yield savings account. Don't forget to do your research and, compare different companies so you can get the best amount of interest for your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget to ask your employer for a raise if you're doing well, because hello, you deserve it.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes, you definitely do.
Because you deserve it.
You do,
But
and you are worth it.
absolutely. Absolutely. My girl Cassie, what else we got for some finance tips? I feel like today's episode was power packed full of good ass info. I just have to say that.
I think so too. I think that we definitely gave the people something to think about, especially if it's not something that you are, already familiar with. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're very important conversations to have. I know, I'm like you. I have these conversations with my boyfriend all the time, but it's not a conversation that like we have or I really have with any of my other friends. So
Very true. Very
I
true.
think it's something that, we definitely need to start like normalizing, just kind of like talking about all these different things. Because I don't think that it's very well known. And that's why you have these like one percenters and,
Mm-hmm.
these very, I don't know if I'm going to say like rare, but like these like hedge fund people who are just like all about money and stuff like that. Just kind of like, they figured it out. And the rest of us are just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like waddling around like, these are
Literally.
are like society norms. And we're just kind of like, content with how the world
Much
kind of like
less we
makes you,
have.
yeah, want to like think of things. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely important conversations. And, I wish everybody a wealthy future.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yeah, all right, y'all. You heard it here. Mindset Talks. Don't forget to continue to tune in with your girls. But until next time.
Bye, guys.